This is 3 of Skeins Knit Crochet Podcast number 115, and I am Lisa.
I'm Chris.
So Chris, do you want to go first tonight?
Yes.
Cool.
I'm back to working on my top.
Let's talk about what top that is exactly.
So I'm making a top out of a silk yarn from a Japanese brand called Habu. And so it's going to be kind of like a halter top because I didn't have enough yarn to make a t-shirt. Which I found out after I started. So this is either the front or the back. Both panels will be the same. So now I'm working on the other half of it. And I really thought that limiting myself to 30-minute crochet sessions was gonna really hold me back and everything would be slow. And I thought it would take me like 3 years to make anything. It's fine. It's going just fine. Like, so I do multiple 30-minute sessions in a day, and I will usually, right now I'm taking like an hour between 30-minute sessions. But I'm still making progress. I can do 5-ish rows in my 30 minutes. So it's moving along pretty good. I mean, it's not like I'm making a blanket that then it might take some time. But for just a little waist length, halter top, it's actually moving. So this is what I have on the next piece. And this is just a couple of, like 2 or 3 days worth of crocheting. So
those stitches are so fine. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's 100% silk and it's lace weight, which apparently I like. I don't know why I like lightweight yarn so much, but I don't like have any trouble with it. I don't find it at all daunting or uncomfortable. So yeah.
So what hook are you using?
I'm using a 2.5 millimeter. I could have gone down some, but I didn't want the stitches to be so tight. I find that working with lace weight in a dark color is a little challenging as far as like seeing the stitches. Mm-hmm. So just by going up a tiny bit and making the stitches a little bit bigger, it made it a little bit easier to work with. It's funny to say that the color might have affected my hook size, but if it was a lighter color that I could see more easily, I might have gone down. But yeah, no, I still think it's a good size. Ooh, look at that, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, I love it. But yeah, that's all that's going on. I was telling Lisa, I feel like cakes are specifically for wool. This bag is a mess. Because wool sticks to itself, so when you cake it up, that cake is going to hold its shape better. My little cake is falling apart, so I'm going to have to come up with some other kind of put up for my non-wool yarns. I don't like working off the cone. Mm-hmm. So I do want to take it off the cone and do something with it. Maybe I wound the other one into a ball by hand, and that's fine, but it took a while. It was 450 meters or yards, I think, 450 yards, and it's very fine. So I did get a little bit of a hand cramp as I was winding. So I don't know if that's really practical especially for lace weight, but I am going to have to come up with some sort of solution. Otherwise, I might just have to work from the cone.
Yeah, I didn't like working from the cones.
Right? Because it moves around and it's just a pain in the butt.
I was telling you, for non-wool yarns, I like to work from a ball. And try my Nostopina. Because then you won't have to hold that ball for so long in your hand. You can just hold that nice handle it has.
But that's the only issue I'm having with the yarn. I have to figure out a put up that works for non-wool yarns.
And it's so funny because we get so much of our experience on wool that working in another fiber. You think these things
are universal.
Yeah.
And they're not.
It's a whole different ball game working in another fiber.
But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Okay. I have progress on the duck. Da, 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 da.
It's a duck, not a shark.
Ducking. So the front of the sweater is done. That means I have 4 pieces of this sweater complete, back, front, and sleeves. I'm going to hold the duck up close so you can see the detail of it. So the main body of the duck I did in intarsia, and the details, those are all duplicate stitch. So the little nose, the shaping of his head, that was duplicate stitch. His eye, duplicate stitch, and a lot of this black detail and white detail going on.
Doesn't this look like the duck from Duck Hunt? Y'all remember that game? The funny thing is, my niece will not get this reference at all because of her age, but I'm like, that's Duck Hunt.
Yeah, when I think that's why I liked it when I saw it. I'm like, I know this duck. But I'm so happy with how it came out. That it's looking realistic, it's looking really fun and good. And I like the color palette that I chose, because although there aren't a lot of bright colors, there's still plenty of contrast so that it stands out from the background.
It's cute.
So let me show you the dark side of intarsia and duplicate stitch. I have approximately 50 million ends to deal with. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say this is all intarsia and duplicate stitch, because I did not use an actual knitting chart to make this duck. I picked a chart that was the right character that I wanted, but it was actually for another craft. But it worked for what I needed. And I think had it been designed for a knitter, I did simplify it because it had way more detail. I was like, oh no, I can't do all of that. But I think next time what I'm going to do, I think I tried to knit intarsia for too much of the detail. What I should have done is just do big blobs of color. Like, I should have done this brown section, the white, the gray, and not do intarsia for any of the black, since it was just such small areas. And I should have done all of that in duplicate stitch. But this was my first real intarsia project, so I know for next time when I just find a random chart, I can work it a little bit better so that I don't end up like this again. It looks like one of those fringy wall hangings.
So what exactly are you going to do with all of that?
I'm going to weave in most of it, and I'm going to tie some knots.
You're not just going to sew something to the back? I told you just sew a piece of fabric to the back and pretend none of this is happening.
I thought about that, but some of my duplicate stitch is like 1 stitch or 2 stitches, and I don't want to leave them loose, you know. So I'm going to weave in as much as I can, and then I will... What I'm planning to do too is see if I can felt down some of it, because I have some felting needles, so we will try felting some of this. This is an acrylic and wool blend, so I don't know how well it's going to felt, but I think if I can felt down some of it, that will take care of some ends too. And I'm not going to weave in the full length of any of these.
Right.
I gave myself plenty of room to run, because you know, you can adjust your duplicate stitch as you go. So I'm going to cut some of these much shorter than this and just weave in a few stitches in either direction and call it a day. And I am not one of those absolutely no knots and knitting type of knitters. I will tie a knot in my knitting in a heartbeat. So there's going to be a few knots back here.
Someone said online we should normalize strings hanging from remade clothing, and I'm like, I agree. Here.
Well, if it was just a typical piece of yarn that is anchored to many stitches, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But like this 1 stitch right here, that's duplicate stitch. And it's just that 1 stitch right there. So I have to secure it some kind of way, because this is eventually going into the washing machine and the dryer. And you know, this 1 stitch right here, that's got to be secured to something. And because it's not a wool, I can't count on it just to felt up on itself a little bit.
Right.
But other than that, I'm really happy with how this came out. And I will be spending most of my crafting time this week tidying up these ends with various methods. I'm going to do some weaving in, I'm going to tie some strategic knots, and I'm going to take my felting needle and see if I can felt down some of this stuff. But that's what's going on with Les Duck. So hopefully this time next week, I have a completed duck sweater.
And
To mail to our
fastest
niece.
you've ever made?
You know, Mom and Crystal think this sweater went so fast. But
Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand where she's coming from. Y'all don't understand where she's coming from. Lisa knits at a very deliberate pace, let's say.
I'm not a fast knitter.
And the first sweater she made,
It took a minute.
it was a significant commitment of her time, let's say. And you have gotten faster. But I think the granny sticks unlocked her superpower. I literally think she knits faster with them. I don't know why that would be the case, but
Excuse me.
somehow that's just what her hands liked. And
She's been calling my straight needles granny sticks. They're just straight knitting needles. I object to the name granny sticks.
Rocking them granny sticks. Y'all don't know.
But I started this sweater, the actual knitting of it, on or around January 16th. And today is like March 3rd or 2nd.
Very early March.
Very early March. So it hasn't been quite 2 months, but it is more than a month and a half.
Yeah. That's still Lisa.
Are you kidding? You know what? It seems fast to you guys, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Still working. And I still have to sew it up.
Yeah, but still, Lisa. That was zippity doo dah.
What are you wearing, Chris?
My cat tank top.
That is so
I don't
cute.
get to wear it very often, so I thought I'd pull it out. I think I need to shorten my shoulder straps though a little bit. I still have trouble with straps. I don't know how to measure the size properly because they're always going to stretch a little bit. So I still have to work that out.
Yeah, I've decided I'm gonna make whatever shoulder straps I make much shorter than I think they need to be.
I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to use like negative ease
Yeah,
for your
you do.
shoulder straps.
You do, because like you said, they are gonna stretch.
Little kitty cat top.
What else you got for us today?
So I mentioned that if you've been here for a while, I really like Ito brand yarn, but I don't find it in stores enough. So I decided I was going to order a different yarn from Ito every month. And it's a bit of a procedure because I have to pick the yarn that I like and then search online for stores that have it. And it's a whole thing. But I did order some yarn last month. So this is Ito Asa. Why is this?
There you go.
Oh, look
wow.
at that. So this is 72% linen, 18% cotton, and 10% silk. And it's in this gorgeous raspberry color. On the Ito website, they recommend, I think, a 2.25 millimeter needle for the yarn held double. So, because this is basically thread. Yeah. So, we'll see how this goes.
I can't get over the shine on a
I
single
know,
strand
right?
of that yarn.
It's so beautiful. I can't even. Look at that. So it was on clearance at a store. I think they're in Ohio. It's called Around the Table Yarn. And so I got these for $8.58 each. And I got 5. I still don't know if it's going to be enough for it. I don't know if I'm going to hold something with it, or if I'm going to hold it double, or if I'm going to try to work with it single, or I don't know.
You know, I
So
hold that double.
this may or may not, still may not be enough for a t-shirt. I'm trying to just make a t-shirt. I seem to be failing to buy enough yarn. I don't work, I'm just starting to work with lace weight. So I have no idea how much yardage anything takes. So I'm learning that now.
But you know, if you don't have enough for a t-shirt, you did say you wanted to make some accessories. That would make a gorgeous, like, scarf, like a fashion scarf.
I want to wear it. I want to wear it.
I just can't get past that shine. I'm like, oh.
We'll see. But yeah, that I have been like really good about not buying yarn. So I'm trying to think if that's the first. No, because we went. Well, when did we go to Slip Stitch Avenue? Was that after the New Year or before during the holidays? But was that December or January?
I think it was. I don't know.
Well, I did get some yarn from Slip Stitch Avenue. I don't remember if it was late December or early January. But other than that, I haven't bought yarn since then. Because, I got 2 yarn crawls coming up. So you got to, like, pace yourself.
Mm-hmm. We're going to see a lot of yarn. It's going to drive us a little crazy. So
A little bit.
We're both holding back.
Yeah, but I still... Yeah, I have to swatch it a little bit and just see what exactly I'm dealing with here.
Okay. 2.25 held double A.
A little, yeah. Yeah.
It's only getting finer and finer.
I know, right? I don't know what's happening.
You know, one day she's gonna pull out just a spool of thread and go, "I'm gonna be making something with this next."
Everybody's a comedian.
A little bit. A little tiny bit.
Anyway.
Moving right along. So, you guys, I want to get started on my suit project. But, I don't know how to do mosaic knitting. So, I had to start. I got this book a while ago. And as you see, I've been up in it. This is Barbara Walker's Mosaic Knitting, and the first section is a whole explanation about how to do mosaic knitting, how to work with the charts. Plus, she gave an example pattern and sort of walked you through. So the instructions are written out for the first 7 rows of a 16-row pattern, and just to get you used to how the chart works. And then she's like, okay, after the 7th row, go over to the chart and start working from the chart. She's very direct. So that you can get used to how it works. So it turns out that I did not understand what the chart was telling me at all. I had a page of notes, and I was like, oh, I was going to do this completely wrong if I followed my instincts about the charts, because I've worked with charts before, and I thought I could understand what the chart was telling me, but I did not. I could smell what the rock was cooking.
Okay.
That was the bottom line. It turns out that in mosaic knitting, each line on the chart represents 2 rows of knitting.
Same. That's the same in crochet.
Yes. The rows are numbered on each side. So I wasn't getting that, not from looking at the chart. So when I found that out, it changed things. It changed things completely for me. So what I did was I got out some yarn to practice with. And I worked, the sample chart. So this is one repeat. Let me hold that up a little closer. Of the practice chart. And as you see, I didn't start out so well because I messed up a little bit over on this side, but I was getting it by the time I finished the chart. The neat thing is you really only have to pay attention to the chart on the first side, on the front. Because when you go to the back of the mosaic, all you have to do is knit or purl the same stitches you knit or purled on the front and slip the same stitches.
That is exactly like crochet.
Yes. And the rows are pretty easy to count because I am working the same color for 2 rows. So I have a light pair and a dark pair, a light pair and a dark pair. So the rows are actually pretty easy to count and you can keep track of where you are. So what I plan to do this week is work with this practice chart some more. You can do both stockinette based mosaic like I'm doing here and garter based mosaic.
Oh.
When you do garter, you just knit on both sides. So, but you can still follow your pattern. So I'm gonna do this, repeat this chart a couple more times in stockinette, and then I'm gonna do it in garter just to kind of get the hang of doing that because I don't know what fabric I want to use for my suit. So I'll be able to decide which way I want to go, and I'll be able to start testing the patterns that I want to combine for the suit. And I learned something interesting too. It's amazing when you read the book, right? All types of interesting things just pop out at you.
They hide stuff in the words.
They do hide stuff in them pages. It turns out that when you change patterns in mosaic, it shouldn't change your gauge if you're working with the same needles and the same yarn. So, sometimes when you flow from one pattern to the next, even if it has the same stitch count, it might pull in differently. Yeah. You don't have that issue in mosaic.
That's a neat trick.
So if I do want to combine patterns, it's going to be a lot less, futzing and figuring and maybe adding a few stitches or subtracting a few stitches to make it stay straight, which I think is really, really cool. So once I've just kind of gotten the hang of doing mosaic, I want to just play around a little bit just to see, okay, once I understand how to do it, how do I hide my shaping so that I don't, completely destroy my pattern? That's going to be the next challenge. But we'll see how it goes. But you know what? If you want to try a new technique, try it out on a swatch. It's so much easier with 32 stitches than 258 stitches. You think? But that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so the back looks like, because you can see the 2 rows.
Yeah.
They are very similar.
Yeah, it's the same technique. It's just in a different art. It's the exact same technique. So you guys who do crochet mosaic, doesn't that look familiar? I'm going to experiment a little bit with needle size because I think my fabric is a little stiff. What do you think? But it could just be because I was stressed out because I was doing something new.
I don't think it's stiff.
We'll see how it goes. But that's where I'm at. I am doing mosaic.
Watching when you bring this thing. So is this like a movement for you? Because you did buy some granny sticks of knitting.
I did. I will probably use them. Is this
like your new thing now?
It might be. It might be. And you know what? I think there's something about how the fabric is supported that works better for me. So unless I have to do a large volume of stitches or I'm actually knitting in the round, I will probably be using straight needles. And it'll be interesting to see how the Prim ergonomic needles I bought really work for me. We'll see how they go. I don't know. Oh, and it just occurred to me, hey, Gara, like and subscribe, all right?
It makes her mom happy. Lordy.
I gotta do it when it hits me. It's really kind of fun to do though. I like mosaic. I think I can see myself doing several mosaic projects, and it's noticeably less ends to deal with, like noticeably.
So you carry up the sides?
Yeah, you carry it up the side and they behave. Now, I was wondering, now in crochet, can you do 3-color mosaic?
I assume you can.
Because
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to.
I was going through this and it does not look like 3-color, at least in this book. I don't know because I've never done mosaic before, so I'll probably do some research. But it suggests that if I wanted to add a 3rd color, I would need to do them, add it fair isle or do some other technique to bring in a 3rd color.
I think what you could probably do is A, B, A, B, A, B, switch those 2 colors. And then for a section, you do like B, C, B, C. So you wouldn't actually be working all 3 colors, but you could bring in the new color and then not use one of the others.
Yeah, that's
something like that.
That was the other thing I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Because this seems to be a strictly kind of 2-color technique. But there's a lot to choose from. I have some ideas. I'm going to swatch several just to see how they play together. And then I'll be ready to go. That's very exciting, though. Very exciting.
I'm trying to design a mosaic shawl right now. I don't like my chances.
Wow.
Because I have a mosaic pattern book, but it only has 12 patterns in it. And so unless you want to use one of those 12 patterns, you're very limited. But it's just like when you feel like you're doing something wrong. And I feel like I won't really know if my design will work until I actually try swatching it. But yeah. I just have zero confidence in. I don't think in mosaic. So I don't know if I'm using just like graph paper and making a design on graph paper.
Right.
I don't know if that's all you have to do, and then it will just translate itself into a mosaic pattern if I just follow the rules for reading a mosaic chart, or if there's something else I'm supposed to be taking into consideration.
Yeah. You know what? The instructions became very clear to me once I picked up yarn and my needles and actually followed through the process. And you might have to work that out in miniature on your hook, because sometimes it's turned into words. And once I picked up my needle and my yarn, the instructions made a lot more sense.
Okay. All right. We'll see. Wish me luck.
So I'm going to be at Vogue Knitting in March. I think it's March 15th and March 17th. I'm doing my 2 classes that I normally do. I'm doing how to work a pattern and sweater savvy. That should be a lot of fun. But I'm also going to be I want to at least attend 1 class and 1 lecture. I found this lecture I wanted to share with you guys because I'm kind of excited about it. And I did mark it on my phone, and now it's going to act the fool. Okay, here it is. So on Saturday, March 16th, there is a lecture called Out of Many One, and it's a brand new lecture that hasn't been given before. The teacher's name is Natalie Warner, and she's doing a presentation that's all about idea generation and maximizing your design concepts. And she invites you to play along and sketch out plans for your own collection, or sit back and watch the screen fill up with a wealth of garments and accessories. And that sounds like so much fun to me.
So she's like teaching you how to design like a capsule wardrobe almost?
I think so.
Okay.
But it sounds like a lot of fun, and I suggest it for everybody. Go for it. But I think that's going to be my lecture that I attend.
So that's not like craft specific, so knitters and crocheters could do that.
Yeah. There are offering several lectures. There's color Tetris, 10 sweater constructions. That's interesting. And Paris, the Fabric of a City by Franklin Happy. I think that's going to be about his adventures in Paris. Apparently, the craft shopping is excellent in Paris.
That's what I hear, and
I feel away.
I'm mad I'm not there. It's okay. But that is what I hear, like thrifting and stuff.
Except for the bed bugs, but okay.
I'm sure they'll get that under control. I'm sure. It's doable. New York City had a bed bug issue several years back, and they resolved it. It'll be fine.
It was difficult, but eventually managed to beat them down.
It can be done.
Is that all for you this week?
I think so. It's been a slow week.
It hasn't been that slow for me. I've been clicking and clacking.
Yes, you have a whole doc now.
Anyway, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next time.
Stay stitching.